Looks like you made it just in time to see Carolyn get back to the office at the asylum. Her co-workers may have a special surprise for her. A brand new jacket to celebrate 5 years working at the asylum. It's a beautiful jacket. A straight jacket. How about that? Huh? Oh, her patients do have some surprises in store for her as well. It's gonna be a grand old time for Carolyn. And I think to help liven up the party, Carolyn will be bringing some fireworks of her very own. I call this tale the Unspeakable Oath.
We'll be continuing Carolyn's path to Carcosa, using Carolyn, Fern, and the deck we built in the first scenario. The only changes we made, we had 3 experience points, which we used to get charisma. We don't need to remove any cards to add charisma because it is a permanent card, so that'll go right into play from the very beginning, and it'll help us get Dr. Mal and Christopher and Foolishness out at the same time. The chaos bag in this one is kind of light. The skulls, there are 3 in the bag and they're only worth -1. Although if you fail, you have to put a monster enemy, which we'll show later. We set them aside, put it under the act deck, and something happens later with that. And the only other tokens we have in our deck that are special tokens are the cultist tokens. And the value is -X, which equals the number of horror on you. So that could start off very low, but it could end up being a very high negative modifier. So we'll see how that goes. Over the course of the next few days, Carolyn delves into the evidence she's collected, hoping to find any information regarding Daniel Chesterfield, a stagehand during the previous production of The King in Yellow. As far as Carolyn can tell, he is the only surviving member of that production's cast and crew. The rest of them, that is, those for whom Carolyn can find any records at all, disappeared or died soon after opening night in a variety of fashions connected only by their morbidness. Freak accidents, suicides, vanishings. It would seem that Daniel is Carolyn's only lead if she is to investigate further. According to the records she found, he was admitted to Arkham Asylum many years ago. All documentation about Daniel's treatment seems to end there. Carolyn's unsure if he's even still alive. Perhaps he was cured and released. She's hoping to avoid this, but there seems to be only one way to find out. Carolyn collects her belongings and heads downtown towards Arkham Asylum. As she enters the asylum, Carolyn stops to speak with the receptionist, though she feels her body urge to step deeper into the clutches of this madhouse. He gives Carolyn a confused expression as she tells him of the King in Yellow and of Daniel. But, at her insistence, he pores through his file cabinet, eventually pulling out a stark white folder. Inside is a wealth of information about the patients admitted to the asylum, medical records, psychiatric evaluations, and the like. Carolyn recognizes a few of the faces as he flips through the pages. Daniel Chesterfield, yes? He is admitted under the special care of Dr. Mintz. But you can't see him. His level is restricted to staff only. Carolyn argues and insists to be led into the patient wing, knowing that Daniel must hold the key to understanding what's really going on. The receptionist gives a pitying smile and relents, nodding to the security guards nearby. "Oh, of course," he says with all the honesty of a street peddler. "I will schedule a meeting for you with Dr. Mintz so you can speak with him about Daniel. These gentlemen will see you in." Relieved that she will soon get the answer she seeks, Carolyn is escorted into the patient wing of Arkham Asylum. The patient wing of the asylum is far quieter and lonelier than Carolyn had expected. The hall reeks of chemicals and body odor. As soon as she's escorted inside, the doors behind Carolyn are closed and locked tight. Aside from the few patients given Carolyn a wide berth, there aren't any orderlies or doctors around to speak with. Looks like she'll have to find Mr. Chesterfield on her own. Okay, so to set up the scenario, first thing that we have to do is we have to randomly choose one copy of each of the patient wings, so the Eastern and Western. So we'll start with the Western. There's only 2 cards, so you pick one of the 2 at random. And then the Eastern patient wing, just mix them up and then pick one. Perfect. Alright, so that's set up. Then we have to just shuffle these. These are the lunatics. There should be 7. Then these are the monsters, and there's 7. So we separate them into 2 piles. They don't go into the encounter deck just yet. They will later, though. And then this is the encounter deck. We'll go ahead and shuffle that up real quick. Alright. And then we'll shuffle up our deck before we draw our opening hand. Perfect. Alright, we'll draw 5 cards. Okay, that's a... Yep. Okay. Not the best. We can put away... I think Fearless is one we're not going to need right now. Definitely Cheat Death is not one. So we'll get rid of that. And Painkillers, okay, that's an... Okay, here we go. So these are this is a decent hand. We've got Dodge, we've got Take the Initiative. We also have Liquid Courage to help heal horror. This scenario deals a lot of horror damage. Mylan Christopher to help us gain resources and clues. And a Dyno-mite Blast. Don't need it so early, I don't think, but alright. So we'll start right away. We begin at the Asylum Hall's Western Patient Wing. The pleasant atmosphere of the reception area disappeared as soon as Dr. Mintz shut the thick iron door behind them. The temperature dropped to a clammy chill, and a foul, sharp stench hung in the air. And then we'll reveal the other side. It's a 3 shroud with 1 clue. Each lunatic enemy at this location gets a +1 horror value. As they walked through the meandering stone halls of the sanatorium, Carolyn began to feel uneasy. It seemed like it would be very easy to get lost. Alright, so we've got 1 clue here, but first I think we're going to call in our friend Dr. Mylan Christopher. He will assist Carolyn in the asylum to help her discover some information regarding Daniel Chesterfield. So here he is, Dr. Mylan Christopher, +1 to intellect, which boosts it to a 5 now. And whenever I successfully investigate, I gain a resource. That is pretty strong. Alright, and will keep us with a healthy pool of resources. In addition to that, Carolyn brought her other friend, Liquid Courage, her favorite juice, to the asylum. Has 4 shots. She can spend a shot to heal horror. Then she'll have to test 2 of willpower to see if she heals another horror. If not, if she fails, we have to discard a random card from our hand. Alright, so it's a 5 versus 3 now. Here we go. First pull is the skull, so that would be a -1. We succeed. We nab our clue. And then we get a resource because of Dr. Mylan Christopher. And that ends our turn. So we'll gain a resource and draw a card. It looks like we get Cheat Death again early in the game. I don't think we'll need it. At least not yet. Alright, Doom goes on the agenda, and our first encounter card is Walls Closing In. Revelation Test X. Willpower, where X is the shroud value of your location. If you fail, either take 1 horror for each point you failed by, or choose 1 enemy at random from the set-aside monster enemies and place it beneath the act deck without looking at it. Okay, so our shroud value is a 3. So our willpower is a 3. So I think we're going to end up playing Take the Initiative to boost our willpower to a 6. So this is skill card, which gives us 3 wild icons. We'll get 3 willpower icons for that. 6 versus 3. So should be fairly simple. And pretty much the auto fail. And okay, perfect. Look at that. Elder Sign. We have no heart to heal, so we don't get an extra resource, but we definitely succeeded. So now we'll go ahead and move to the Eastern Patient Wing. The pleasant atmosphere of the reception area disappeared as soon as Dr. Mintz shut the thick iron door behind them. The temperature dropped to a clammy chill, and foul, sharp stench hung in the air. It's the same flavor text as the Western Patient Wing. I'm glad I wasted that time. Alright, so the other side. You can use an action to take one horror and evade. Automatically evade a lunatic enemy as they walk through the meandering stone halls. Oh, same flavor text. 3 shroud, but there are no clues here. That kind of sucks. That makes this a wasted location. Okay. We need 3 clues to advance the act. So we're going to move. I think we're going to backtrack. Let's backtrack. So here we go. Mess hall. A wide open doorway leads into the asylum's mess hall, where patients would have their meals. It's quieter than you expected. There are no chairs, scuffing dishes clanking, or patients speaking with one another. So far, this asylum has been eerily silent. Alright, there's 2 clues here. It's a 2-shroud location. After you successfully investigate the mess hall, I have to choose and discard a card from my hand. Okay. Rows of tables are covered in dirty dishes and stale food. You get the feeling they took mess too literally here. And this is Victory 1 location, which means if we remove all the clues from the location, we will gain an experience point from here. So, let's do just that. Go ahead and put 2 clues on there. Okay. Perfect. And that ends our turn, so we'll go ahead and end the turn. Gain a resource, draw a card. Oh, another take the initiative. That's really handy. Okay. And the agenda will flip. There we go. Speaking with the patient is proving more difficult than Carolyn had assumed. They eye her cautiously and refuse to answer any of her questions, backing away or fleeing if confronted. Either they're not used to gas, or something about her is causing them a considerable amount of distress. Some act like animals backed into a corner, and Carolyn thinks that at any moment they might strike. So we shuffle now all the lunatics into the encounter deck, and we have to randomly choose an enemy from the monster pile and put it beneath the act deck without looking at it. Okay. Alright, so there's the lunatics. They're all getting shuffled in. The monster, we'll go ahead and place one at random under the act pile. There it is. The act deck. This all gets shuffled. Okay. So it looks like some lunatics are going to start coming out and attacking Carolyn for asking too many questions. So we'll shuffle this up. This scenario, it can get very, very difficult. This is kind of a turning point. It can end a lot of campaigns right here. So we have to be extremely careful with how we deal with this. Torturous descent. The longer Carolyn spends in this hellish place, the more she wants to leave. Already it has felt like days. She fears that if she's stuck here much longer, Carolyn will become like the patients, a husk of their former self, unruly and dangerous. Alright. We have 7 rounds before this flips again, so we have to be very quick. Alright, so we're going to investigate this place. It has a shroud of 2, so with Mile and Christopher, we have a 5 versus 2, and we'll investigate for the first clue, and we get a -1. Okay, so we succeed, and we nab that clue, and we have to discard a card because the location requires that. So we're gonna pick the Dyno-mite blast. We don't need it, so as of right now, that's probably the best choice. And that's another -1. Okay, so we'll grab that last clue. We gain our victory point. We discard dodge. And we gain 2 resources for the 2 investigations. And now we get to advance the act. Very nice. Turning a corner, Carolyn nearly bumps into a nurse with light brown hair and sharp features. She tells her about the violent patients and the strange things she's seen, but the nurse doesn't listen. When Carolyn inquires about Daniel, the nurse informs her that he is a patient of Dr. Mintz and that he resides in the secured basement level. Unfortunately, she refuses to let Carolyn into that area of the asylum. Ooh, so we have to choose and make a test, either a combat, agility, or intellect, or we can just force and take the keys by force. So, okay, I think that Carolyn has high enough intellect that right now we have 0 horror, so a -1 or a 1 over, which is what we'll have on this test, I think is definitely passable. And there's a high chance of getting, -1 or better. So 5 versus 4. Let's do this. And we get occultist, which is X, which is the number of horror, so that's a 0. So, all right, let's see. Act 2A, the really bad ones. Daniel is somewhere in the secured basement where the most dangerous patients are kept. Now that Carolyn has the key, she can explore this area of the asylum. So we ignore the text on the unrevealed side of asylum locations, and we have to find Daniel Chesterfield. Alright, so we'll go ahead and put that act up. And I think we'll start making our way back to the patient confinement area. So 1, so that's our final action, I think, right? No. Should we go into the kitchen? Yeah, let's go to the kitchen. The door leading into the kitchen, okay, it's not locked anymore. The narrow door in the back of the mess hall is locked. Dirty dishes fill the sinks and cover the countertops. An unidentifiable sludge boils in the stove. Ooh. This has a shroud of 2 with 1 clue, and then we can do an action here. If there's no clues in the kitchen, test 2 willpower. If you succeed, you remember that you set a fire in the kitchen. We'll need this later, so we might as well take advantage of it and do it now. So we'll put a clue up and we will end our turn. Yeah, I think this was the right choice. So we'll draw a card and get a resource. Alright, it's the machete. Very nice. Lunatics are about to feel the power of the machete. Machete don't text. Alright, straight jacket. Ooh, so it looks like Carolyn gets a straight jacket. So, we basically put it into play in our threat area, and it takes up both our hand slots and our body slot. We have to spend an action to get out of it. Or 2 actions, so that's fine. We'll just investigate here for now. And that's a -0, so we get the clue. Perfect. And a resource. Alright, so I think we're gonna get rid of, or start this fire in the, actually no, let's get rid of the straitjacket. We'll use 2 actions to get rid of that. Alright, and that'll end Carolyn's turn. So we will get a resource and draw a card. And it looks like it's the 32 Colt. We don't need another weapon, but this scenario does have corrosion, so it's nice to have a backup. We'll add a doom to the agenda and draw an encounter card. And looks like a young psychopath is running down the hallways of the asylum and confronts Carolyn, scaring her half to death. Carolyn takes a horror. If she didn't act scared, then the psychopath would start flailing about and get a +3 to fight until the end of the round. So we'll take the horror, I think. Or do we evade her? Yeah. We haven't put our weapons out yet, so this is going to be a little bit tough here. She's Only got a fight of 2, but with 2 health it'll take us 2 actions to kill her. If we hit both times. I think we'll just take the horror. So let's go ahead and take the horror. And she is engaged to us now, so we will pay 3 to bring the machete into play. The machete gives us a +1 to attack. If it's the only creature that we're engaged with, then we'll deal +1 damage. In this case, she would be. So Carolyn whips out the machete, but as she's doing that, the psychopath takes the opportunity to attack wildly, giving us a damage and a horror. Attack of opportunity. Okay, so now that we have the machete in play, we'll go ahead and attack her, and it's going to be a 3 versus 2. Our odds are a little bit lower now, so I think we're going to have to maybe do something here. Yeah, let's commit this 32 Colt. So it's 4 versus 2. Because with 2 horror, those 2 cultist tokens, and oh nice, okay, so that's a +1, so we do kill her. Chopped both her arms off. Alright, now we're going to set a fire in the kitchen. 3 versus 2. Okay, and that is a -1. That's good enough. So we start a fire in the kitchen. We leave the dying psychopath on the ground while the kitchen burns. First victim that falls to Carolyn's machete. And let's draw a card. Ooh, Quantum Flux. Very nice. Let me see what cards are in the discard. Okay, nothing great yet. This will come in handy when we use up a lot of skill cards to get them back into our deck. Another encounter card. Oh my god, it's another young psychopath. So it looks like another psychopath is attracted by the fire and smoke coming out of the kitchen and comes running in, sees Carolyn and attacks her. So now we're going to have to hit her. This time we do have the machete in play, but we'll need to take another horror. So there it is. This gives us now machete time. So 3 versus 2. Actually, let's go ahead and commit a card. Take the initiative. It's the first round, so we get all 3 wild icons when we commit this to our test. So now it's going to be a 6 versus 2. And we pull a -3. Okay. Wow, that would have been a failure if we hadn't committed that. So another victim falls in the kitchen. Now there's 2 dying psychopaths, and as the kitchen burns, Carolyn will move to the western patient wing and end her turn there. We'll draw our card. Ooh, Carolyn's favorite, the Dyno-mite Blast. Now it's going to be a party. Now it's going to be a big celebration. At Doom, okay, no more creatures. And this is a mad patient. Comes running out of the asylum halls. When we attack it, we take a horror. Okay. So we are in an asylum hall now. So the nearest one is the one we're in. So there it goes in our location, and it's engaged again. So we're gonna machete. 3 versus 2. All right, and as soon as we attack, whether we hit or miss, we take the horror. So here we go, and a 0. That's good enough. We kill her, but because of the ability we take a horror, remember, when we attack her, we'll take a horror whether we hit or miss. But she's dead, so now that's 3 victims have fallen in the asylum to the machete. Machete don't text. Okay, so we go into the eastern patient wing and now the basement halls. Dank air drifted out of some of the darker hallways. Carolyn asked, "Do some of these passageways lead underground?" Nurse Heather nodded. "It's a very old building, Doctor." And now that we've entered, let's see, it's a 4-shroud location with 1 clue. After it's put into play, we set the 4 set-aside patient confinement locations into play. A cramped stone staircase leads deep underground to the basement level of the asylum. Cries and howls of anguish torment Carolyn from behind the hall's many iron doors. She can't imagine what it would be like to live her days in that place. And it is a victory location, so if we get the clue from here, we will gain another experience point. Let's put the set-aside patient confinement cells, okay? And let's, and that ends our turn. We'll try and grab that clue next round. Okay, resource and draw a card, and we get foolishness, but at this point, now we're looking for Daniel. Probably don't have time to set up for foolishness. We'll probably end up committing him to a test. Alright, no bad guys, come on. Okay, Gift of Madness, Pity. You cannot attack lunatic enemies. Use an action to randomly choose one enemy from among the set-aside monster enemies and place it beneath the act deck without looking at it. Then you can discard this from your hand. Okay. This is really bad because we've already fought 3 lunatics. Not being able to attack them is ridiculously debilitating here and could lose us the game. So we need to get rid of this as soon as possible. Yeah, I think that's going to be top priority right now. Okay. And then we'll have to nab that clue. So let's get rid of it. Spend an action to do this. We'll put an enemy, monster enemy, underneath the act deck. And now we're going to go for this clue right here. Yep. And it's a 5 versus 4. Alright, and we will probably commit foolishness to the test. That'll make it a 7 versus a 4. And I think those are decent odds. Let's try this. And it is -2. So we get the clue and our victory point. Very nice. And we get a resource because of Milo and Christopher. And then we've used some skill cards and foolishness. And we should be able to recur those with using Quantum Flux. So Quantum Flux, we shuffle our discard pile into our deck and draw a card, then we remove Quantum Flux from the game. So we get all those skill cards that we used and foolishness back. This should help us along the way. This gets removed from the game, and we'll go ahead and reshuffle these into our deck. Okay. Alright, that's good enough. Draw a card. And it is an Inquiring Mind. Very nice. Another skill card to help us along. That ends our turn. And we draw Reliable. Very nice. The card we were looking for. Alright. We'll end our turn. And the yellow sign. Test 4. If you fail, take 2 horror and search your deck for a madness weakness. Draw that card and shuffle your deck. Okay. So, a test of 4 is going to be tough. We have a 3 right now. And no skill cards that can help. So it's going to be a 3 versus a 4. Probably not going to pass this one. -4, yeah. Even with this +3 skill card, we would have failed that one. So, we take 2 horror. Ouch. And we have to search for a madness weakness. That's not madness. That's not a madness. That's not a madness. And that's not a madness. Okay, so there are no madness weaknesses in my deck, so we just reshuffle and go about our business. 2 straight horror sucks, but that's fine. Okay. That was a bad pull. Okay. How are we going to resolve this? I want to heal horror, but I'm risking losing a random card from my hand, and I don't want to lose cheat death. Let's play Reliable, because because we do need to put that on our machete right now. Reliable. It's a fast action, so it doesn't take an action. Attaches to an item. We'll pick the machete. And when we resolve the triggered ability, which includes the attack action, we'll get +1 to all our skills. So we'll be attacking with a +2, so we'll be attacking with a base of 4. If we get our hands on a mind over matter, we'll be attacking with an attack of 6. So that'll be very nice. Okay. I really want to use one of these and heal horror. Oh man, no. We'll go ahead and spend a clue to go to the first confinement cell, and it is patient confinement. The heavy metal doors firmly shut and locked from the outside. The thin slit that would allow you to peer inside the cell is stuck. And it looks like this is the dreary cell. Test 2 intellect to speak to the patient here. If you succeed, you're able to interpret her ravings. Remember that you know the guard's patrols. 3 shroud, 1 clue. A chill gloom envelops this windowless cell. Being locked in here for a day would be torturous, let alone for months. No kidding. Alright, well, there's a clue there. And we can test 2 intellect to know the guard's patrols. That's one of the other things that we need to do. So we'll first investigate and get the clue. So we'll have a 5 versus 3. Actually, no. We don't really need to get this clue, because it's not a victory location. We already have an extra clue, so we can kind of save ourselves an action here. Nah, 5 versus 3. Let's get the clue. And come on, come on. Alright, it is the Elder Sign, so we get to heal horror, and we gain a resource because of our investigator ability. Very nice. Carolyn is rolling in the dough. So, okay, let's go ahead and do this ability. 5 versus 2. We'll learn the guard's patrols. Come on, come on. 5 versus 2. 0. Nice. Okay, we're doing really well with the chaos bag. We learn the guard's patrol. We'll put a token to signify that. Okay. That ends our turn. We'll gain a resource. Draw a card. Okay, and we get Fearless. That can come in handy. There's a lot of willpower tests in this one, so. And we can always use it for our Liquid Courage. Encounter card. Corrosion. That sucks. Discard items from play or from your hand of cost at least X, where X is the shroud value. Our shroud value is 3. So that's going to be our machete. We gave up our gun earlier. Man, that was a mistake. So we had just used our reliable too, so that's a wasted card there. That's too bad, man. Now we have no weapon. We'll use a clue and go into the second cell. Oh, this sucks. Ooh, we found Daniel's cell already. Awesome. So this is a Shroud 2 with 1 clue. Daniel's windowless cell is hopelessly dank and grim. The walls are covered in erratic scribbling, which upon further inspection appears to be passages from the King in Yellow. 2 shroud, 1 clue. It's not a victory location, so we don't necessarily have to get the clue. We've done what we're supposed to, so the act's gonna flip. When she enters his cell, Carolyn finds Daniel huddled in a corner of the room, sobbing and rocking back and forth on the ground. "No mask! No mask!" He stammers over and over. Carolyn helps him to his feet to try and console him, telling him that he is not crazy, that strange events have been occurring throughout town ever since the King in Yellow returned to Arkham. "It's Nigel!" he exclaims, gripping Carolyn tightly. "Nigel made us speak his name. He made us speak the oath, and now he lives inside us, controlling us. Don't you understand?" He rambles on. We spoke his name and the price was paid. Hastur! Hastur! Oh, king! Carolyn believes she might understand more about the situation if she can calm him down, but she'll have to get him out of this asylum if she's to accomplish that. Alright, so we have to put Daniel Chesterfield in our asset area. And he's going to take up an ally slot. We do have, and there he is, we do have charisma. So we don't have to lose Dr. Mylan Christopher. Okay, and then this gets shuffled in. The monster enemies get shuffled in. And we just shuffle it all into one bundle. Nice, delicious package. The package is delicious. What kinds of creatures do we have in there? Alright, so now our goal is to escape. So we're going to grab the new act, and this is planning the escape. So, with or without Daniel, Carolyn has to get out of this place as soon as she can. So basically the objective, we have to do 4 of the following tasks. Know the guard's patrol, set fire in the kitchen, incite a fight amongst the patients, release a dangerous patient, recall the way out, or distract the guards. We have done 2 of them already. See the 2 little stakes there? So there's more scattered across, but we only have to get 4, so we just basically have 2 left. And I happen to know there's some in the cells, but there's some other actions that we can do on our way out. So I think we're just going to start heading back and out of here. So do we go to the cell? I think there's enough skill cards in the deck to help me with like skills for abilities that I don't have high scores for. So let's just get this clue back and not go into the cell. Let's just start heading all the way back out. That's turn. We'll go ahead and draw a card. Oh no, and it is to fight the Black Wind. Our weakness. So we take a horror, a direct horror, and then at the end of the round, if we don't heal the horror, Doom goes on the agenda. And this gets attached to the agenda. So every time we take horror, if we don't heal it, we have to take add Doom to the agenda. That's kind of rough because we're making really good time. So I think we're gonna be okay. But you know, you never know with these things. You never know, and we are almost at our threshold for horror too. So we do have to be careful for sure. Since that was the upkeep phase, we don't have time to heal horror, so we're going to go ahead and add a Doom to the agenda now, which basically flips it because that's 6, and we're going to add a Doom now, so it's going to flip. So I might as well just take all those. And put this in our discard pile. Because the agenda is flipping, we get to discard that. In the back of Carolyn's mind, a force beckons. Have you seen it? It calls to her, glimpsing something in her peripheral vision. Carolyn turns to find a familiar symbol peering back at her wherever she looks. It's etched up on the doors, drawn on the walls, painted on the patient's canvases. She cannot escape it. Okay. So Constance Dumaine has been slain, so she doesn't get to come out. Thank goodness, because she could be tough and really throw a wrench in this. His domain. Flee. Flee while you still can. Okay, so when an enemy gets put beneath the act deck, it gets shuffled into the encounter deck instead. Okay, so there it goes. We have 8 rounds. We got plenty of time. I think we're going to make this as long as we don't die, which can definitely happen because we don't have a weapon. So we'll choose an enemy and shuffle it into the deck. Beautiful. Okay. And we'll draw a card, and it is a Mad Patient. Oh boy. We did not need this. And what makes this tougher is it has two health. So when we attack it, we have to take a horror every time we attack. So it takes a minimum of 2 attacks to hurt it, to kill it, because we don't have a weapon anymore. So that sucks. That means we're going to take 2 horror. And then that's if we hit both times, because we could miss and just keep taking more horror. This is a bad time. Okay. I guess we could try and attack it. And hope for the best. I mean, we do have the liquid courage, so we can heal the horror. And fearless will help. So 2 versus 2. Even odds. Although we have so much horror that if we draw a cultist, it's going to be bad. Alright, let's see. And we get a -1. That's not good enough. So we still take a horror, even though we didn't hit it. And we haven't even hurt it yet. We're at 7 horror out of 9. This is bad. Oh wait, we can... Oh, maybe it's time for Carolyn to throw a party. She's killed enough patients. Let's go ahead and throw a party for all of them. Yes. This is delicious. Let's do this. I've never done this before. Might as well. Kamikaze. 5 resources, and Carolyn, while she's being attacked by this mad patient, sets off a dynamite blast right in the same room, hurting herself in the process. So Carolyn takes an opportunity attack of 1 damage, and then she takes 3 damage from the dynamite blast. So that's 5. Mad patient goes away and blows up to smithereens. Carolyn survives barely, and she's going to move to the infirmary. The scratched plaque on this wooden door reads, Infirmary. This must be where the doctors treat their patients. And we flip it, and it is a 3-shroud location with 1 clue. You can heal damage and take a horror, or heal 1 horror and take 1 direct damage using an action. Probably not going to take advantage of that. It is a victory location, so this would be nice to get this other experience point. And the 3-shroud is not that difficult for us right now. I think this is going to be something that we want to do. So we'll go ahead and put the clue on the location. Wait, oh. The horror was supposed to go on Daniel. Yeah, because we have to put it on him or he'll hurt us. So sorry, just making sure that's done properly. Okay. So that kind of gives us a little buffer. And that's Carolyn's turn. Resource, draw card. Anatomical diagrams. I would normally say that's a nice card, but because of all the horror that we have, it's useless. Because you have to have 5 or more sanity remaining to be able to use that. Ooh, whispers in your head, doubt. Add it to your hand. You cannot play event. Oh. Oh no. Okay, cannot play events. Spend 2 actions to discard it. Okay, this is really gonna slow us down because I can't risk not being able to play events. This deck kind of counts on them. Especially cheat death. We're gonna have to get rid of this right away. Yep, use 2 actions, get rid of it. Because if we die, then we're dead if we're not able to play events. So now we'll pull Skull for the clue, and that's a -1. That's good enough. We'll get our clue and our victory point. And we get a resource from Alan Christopher. And that's our turn again. Draw a card, get a resource, draw a card. Okay, so we got the gun. So now we have a weapon at least that we can work with. I don't know if I want to waste a turn playing it right now though. Add a doom to the agenda and draw our encounter card, and it is walls closing in. Okay, test X, where X is the shroud value of the location. If you fail, take 1 horror for each point you fail by, or choose an enemy from the monster enemies and place it underneath the act deck, or shuffle it back to the encounter deck in this case. Okay, the shroud value. Okay, got an idea. 3 versus 3, but I do have Fearless, so I'm going to commit that, which gives me a willpower icon. And if I succeed, I can heal another horror, so that'll be very nice. So 4 versus 3, and yeah, let's go. 1 over. Not great odds, but if we okay, -1. Okay, we got it. So we heal horror, and we gain a resource. Okay. We need to get out of here. Let's go ahead and move. Do we play the gun? No, let's move. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we get to the yard. Milkshake brings. Okay. The fresh air and the illusion of freedom makes the asylum's courtyard a common gathering place for patients. 1 shroud, 1 clue. That should be easy. While you're investigating the yard, it gets +1 shroud for each horror on you. Okay, that changes things. We can use an action if there's no clues to take a damage and remember that we incited a fight. We can't afford to take a damage, so now, oh, okay. And the shroud, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horror, it is a 6 shroud location. This is okay. Well, maybe we can get a card that helps us. Oh my god. So we get the Clasp of Black Onyx. It increases the cost of each card in our hand by 1. That's not a big deal. We're swimming in resources right now, so I don't think that's going to be that much of a problem. It's just annoying that we pulled this instead of a card that could actually help us here. But it is what it is. I guess it could be worse. Alright, so let's turn and encounter. Please don't be a bad guy. Descent into Madness. It's got Surge. If you have at least 3 horror on you, lose 1 action. And that sucks. That sucks. Because we do have at least 3 horror on us. So we're going to lose an action. And it gets Surge, so now we got to pull another card. And the walls are closing in. Test X, where X is the shroud value of your location. If you fail, you take 1 horror for each point that you failed by. Or you have to put a monster enemy, shuffle it into the deck, basically. Okay. Alright, so we have to test. So 3 versus 3. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and commit this. Wait, we don't have to pay resources. We're going to commit this. So 4 versus... wait. Okay. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so actually the shroud is 6. So we're testing against a 6. So it's a 1 shroud, and then it gets +1 shroud for each horror. So that's going to be a 6 total. Oh boy. Okay. Well, there is a clue on the location, so that means we can probably play Inquiring Mind. So we'll commit 2 cards. Inquiring Mind which is the skill card. So we'll get, there's a clue on the location, which means we can commit it. We get 3 wild icons. Of course, we'll use those for willpower. Our willpower base is a 3, so that puts it at 6. And then we're going to commit anatomical diagram. So 7 versus 6. Not the greatest of odds, but it's all we've got. A skull, that's a -1. We actually did it. Okay. So, we succeed. Thank goodness. Okay. Okay, so now what we'll have to do is test 5 versus 6 on the location to get the clue. That's a really tough one. I doubt we'll have such good luck again with the Chaos Bag. So, what can we do here? I think if we try to incite... Well, we can't incite the patients. Oh, man, what are we going to do here? Okay. Oh, God, what are we going to do? Okay. We're going to have to take a chance and heal some horror, because that'll lower the shroud. So we'll spend one of the liquid courage to heal horror and test 3 versus 2. Okay. Come on, come on, come on, come on. All right. Yes. Yes. We heal horror from getting the Elder Sign, and we heal horror from passing the test. So we get 2 resources altogether. 1 for the use of the card, and now the shroud is a 2. So it's gonna be 5 versus 3. Yep. Let's do this. This is much better odds now. Oh, and it's a cultist. Cultist is a -2, so we make it. We get the clue. All right. Which gets us a resource because of Mylan Christopher. Now we'll have to incite the riot, which uses an action, and we take a damage. Ah, boy. So we don't have to do a test, but we're going to take a damage right away, which is enough to kill us. So we're going to spend 1 resource to use one of my new favorite cards, Cheat Death. Play when you would be defeated, disengage from each enemy engaged with you, discard all cards in your threat area, heal 2 horror and 2 damage, and move to any revealed location with no enemies. If it's your turn, end your turn, and remove the card from the game. So we get to heal the 2 horror we had left, and then 2 damage. And then I think... So we heal all this. I think we get a resource because of our ability after we heal horror. I think that I'm supposed to move to a different location. I think when it says move, like you have to move to a different location. I'm not sure. If you know the answer to that, go ahead and put it in the comments. But just to be safe, we'll go ahead and move to an empty location that we're not currently in. And we succeed. We just need 1 more of these little actions to advance the agenda. And we are in a good position here. Okay. Oh, Mind Over Matter. Yes. This is a card that is going to be... that's going to help us win the scenario here. Very nice. Okay. So, agenda. Ooze and Filth. Put Ooze and Filth into play next to the agenda. Each location gets +1 shroud. At the end of the round, discard it. This is probably one of the lightest... or least punishing cards in this encounter deck, so I'm okay with that. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so we'll move now. 1, 2, and we will flip this location. A lone statue stands sentinel over the garden. Cold wind causes dead leaves to fall gently across the garden path. Alright, 3 shroud, 1 clue. If there are no clues in the garden, take test 2 of agility. If you succeed, remember that you distracted the guards. That's our final action. 2 guards in white uniforms stand by the gate of the garden. Okay, this is the end right here. So there's the clue, and 1, 2. Okay, so we have a 5 versus 3. We can grab this clue, and then next round we'll be able to, I think, win. So let's do this. -1, that's good enough. We grab that clue. We're rolling in resources. Very nice. End of turn. Okay. Draw what is possibly your last card of the game, and it is the pain pills that Carolyn loves to take. We're probably not going to need those. Okay. Oh, yeah, the Black Onyx. Okay, this was supposed to cost us 1 extra resource. Cheat Death. When we played Cheat Death, so we'll pay that resource. It's not a big deal. We're loaded right now. Okay. Anyways, a lot of things to keep track of. Sorry if I made some mistakes. Still trying to get good at making no mistakes, but that's tougher than it looks, guys, when you're recording. Oh, Mad Patient. Oh, that's right. They spawn at the nearest asylum hall. Yes, so they don't engage us. They're way far away from us. I think we are good. So the nearest one is the western wing, so she is 2 locations away. We're going to be fine here. All we have to do is succeed in this test of agility. And it is a difficulty of 2, and we have a 2. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to pay our 2 resources to play Mind Over Matter. Mind Over Matter fast. Play during your turn. Until the end of the round, we can use our intellect in place of combat and agility. Well, in this case, because of Mylan Christopher, our intellect is super high. So we're going to have 5 versus 2. And we have 3 tries here. So here we go. Let's do this. -1 for the win. Alright, so we did it. We get our 4th success, and now we get to flip the act. Here we go. Completed 4 of them. An orderly scream echoes across the hall. Within moments, an alarm rings loudly throughout the institution. Nurses and guards rush through the asylum in a desperate attempt to control the situation. Carolyn feels dazed, and her vision is spotty, as though she's been struck by something heavy. The walls blur together and twist. Creatures begin to emerge out of crevices and corners that did not exist moments before. Alright, so we shuffle the encounter discard pile, and each enemy beneath the act deck. If at least 3 monster enemies were shuffled, we have to do some things, but we haven't pulled any monster creatures, so it doesn't matter. We just reshuffle this into this, and we'll go ahead and shuffle those, and then we bring up the last act of the game, of this scenario. Alright, so there we go. Final act. No asylum. All hell has broken loose. So, garden gains. Action. If there is no ready enemy in the garden, resign. Finally a way out. Then advance once each undefeated investigator has resigned. Okay, and we're there and there's no enemies, so we do have 2 actions left. So we will be using our final action here to resign. Okay, here we go. So we resign, and now there it is. Let's flip it. Okay, we did not take the keys by force, so the guards are too busy controlling the situation and restraining the asylum's patients to notice Carolyn's escape. So we finished with 3 experience points because of 3 locations with victory points that we removed all the clues from. We now have to add 2 Elder Thing tokens to the bag and remove the cultist tokens, and we win. With the asylum staff distracted and patients running amok, Carolyn is able to slip away without being noticed. She escapes deeper into the garden behind the asylum, where a 2-story tall fence topped with barbed wire is all that separates her from the outside world. She has little time and needs to make it far away from the asylum before the guards return and spot her. Using a straitjacket she'd found inside to cover the barbed wire, she scales the fence quickly, breaking into a run as she makes it to the other side. Carolyn decides to lay low for some time in Ma's boarding house and hides Daniel from the authorities, although she's unsure how long she'll be able to stay in Arkham with an escaped asylum patient. Daniel is a loose cannon, dazed and unresponsive one moment and screaming for his life the next. It takes several days for him to realize he's no longer institutionalized, which for some reason makes him even more terrified. "He's coming for me! He's coming for me!" he rambles, sometimes for hours at a time. Finally, during an unusually warm and starry night, Daniel is calm enough to open up to Carolyn. "The King in Yellow, it's not just a play," he explains. "It's a being named Hastur, and he's already claimed me, but there's still time for you. You are not yet possessed. You have yet to speak the oath. Whatever you do, speak not his name. Do not give in." Carolyn asks him about the strange events that have been happening across town and of the cultists and creatures she's encountered. "They're trying to find Carcosa," he says matter-of-factly. She recognizes the name as the fictional city from the play, the one the King in Yellow rules over. "They want to release Hastur from his prison, but you can open the way to Carcosa before they do. You can seal Hastur for good." He grips Carolyn tightly as he rants. "Quickly, before the stranger discovers our plan." Hours later, Daniel's incoherent and unresponsive once more. Carolyn takes a long walk to ease her thoughts, mulling over this new information. She's unsure what to make of his wild claims. Before she can make a decision about what to do next, she returns to find the door to her room broken open. Daniel lies in a heap on the ground, his face colorless and body limp. Judging from the bruising around his neck, Carolyn surmises that he has been choked to death. Carolyn decides to heed Daniel's warning. We must not speak the name of the King in Yellow. For hours, she struggles with this insight into the King in Yellow. What is true? What is real? Only she can sort through this madness.
It seems Carolyn was using some experimental treatment on her patients. A machete! And when the government cuts the budget of the asylum, Carolyn cuts the arm off of the patient. Well, at least they're gonna save a lot of money not having to buy any more straitjackets. Well, get some rest. Until next time.